It's on. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would you all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for being here this morning. Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Patrick.
Here.
Zuber. Bruner.
Here.
Farnham.
Here.
Heltzling. Lorenzen.
Here.
Voigt.
Present. We do have a quorum. We'll move on to the minutes of the August 10th meeting, 2016 regular meeting. Assuming you've had a chance to look at those minutes, is there a motion to accept and approve those minutes as submitted by the clerk?
So moved.
Lorenzen moves and Dan seconds. Assuming you're ready to vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Does carry. Thank you. Claims against the county. Again, you have copies of that. Are there any questions of any of the department heads or issues on those claims? Hearing none, assume you're ready for a motion. Can I have a motion to approve those claims against the county? Lorenzen moves, Andy seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? They are approved. County board member claims. You also have those. Are there any discussions about that? And do we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Dan moves.
Second.
Derek seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. They are carried. We now move to the time in the meeting where we ask for public comment. We allow 5 minutes per comment, so please.
Anybody else? Morning, everybody. Good morning, Boyd.
Good morning.
My name is Robert Hogue, and I'm a citizen of the United States of America. And I started yesterday's comments in the zoning commission meeting by mentioning that the United States is in debt, trillions of dollars. And I stand here in the state of Illinois with the same issues. Illinois owes more money than it can probably pay off in my lifetime. But this morning, I wanted to speak about the Edgar County Airport and zoning issue. Edgar County, our airport has expanded in violation of Illinois law. The FAA, IDOT has halted the expansion, halted all monies for this reason. Zoning is a big deal. Some have said zoning exists, but in fact, if it exists, we wouldn't have these meetings. So zoning does not exist in Edgar County for the purposes of funding the airport. It appears that if the zoning were to pass, that the funding would resume immediately, although that possibility has been challenged at different levels and remains unresolved. You talk about zoning, you notice that none of the board members and none of those serving on the airport advisory committee will be affected by zoning. They're zoning someone else's property. If it goes into effect, what you will wind up doing is assuring that the Edgar County taxpayers will continue to fund the airport at about $150,000 a year for the next 20 years. That's a $3 million investment. That's a commitment. What I would like to remind everybody is that there are no free monies when you talk about grants and things of that nature. The funding levels for this grant in the Edgar County Airport is basically 90% the FAA, 5% state of Illinois, and 5% Edgar County funds. So you're looking at about a $60,000 investment at this point in time for a $1.28 million project that probably isn't needed. In the past, when the airport expanded, there was farm ground or land taken from local residents. It has been learned that that was done in violation of the law, and that you have folks like Mr. Ferris that have their ground taken from them, and that the county derives income from that ground. It's a bitter pill for the Ferrises. I wish something could be done to fix that problem. I want you to know that when people asked about the law under which the airport was established and operating, it took nearly 2 years and a court action to get Mr. Isaac to tell those in attendance that it was a county airport and therefore zoning was required. In that 2 or 2.5 years time frame, I believe the county officials knew that zoning would be required. Our airport today, it needs a credit card machine. It's needed a credit card machine on its fuel pumps for the last 10 years. That's a $15,000 to $20,000 investment. And any time this county board, or this airport advisory board, or the airport committee, excuse me, could have written a check and that could have been done. In my opinion, residents should only support a county-wide zoning action, such that all residents will receive some level of protection against utility power lines, wind farm turbines, and cell towers being erected too close to residential housing. Zoning is needed to protect all residents. That's what zoning is intended to do. It's not supposed to be a means in which to fund your airport. And when you talk about airport, you talk about wants versus needs. And what we have is a long list of wants, but a short list of actual needs. Certainly not $1.28 million worth. Encourage the community to support the existing airport as it is and to fund a credit card machine. I don't believe we have a need for parking of aircraft that don't exist. We don't need additional fuel tanks for fuel storage, since we presently have over a year's worth of storage of one fuel and more than 7 months of another fuel. We don't believe we need larger apron spaces for the occasional large aircraft that would be inconvenienced by a slight delay should another aircraft be fueling at the existing location. They can wait. This is only one aircraft a month or 2. At the moment, there appear to be less than 6 Edgar County residents that have hangar space and have airplanes that currently fly to our airport. I was thinking as I
30 seconds, Rob.
It occurred to me as I drove to the meeting this morning that I wait nearly every time I cross the tracks there at the cereal mill for more than a minute or 2. So I'm inconvenienced, but I'm not here asking for $1.28 million on an overpass just so I won't be inconvenienced. And I think it would be a great thing if we looked at this from the perspective that it's our money, not somebody else's.
Your time's expired.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other additional comments from the public? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 8, which is the highway resolution authorizing the county board chairman to sign local agency consultant amendment number 1 for federal participation agreement TR 158 North 1200th Street / Major Bridge, section 11124-12600BR, project BROS-005053. Do I have a motion to, did you have something to say?
Well, you've done an excellent job of reading, but the number is 0045.
I'm sorry.
053.
Okay.
For the record.
Okay, is everybody clear on that?
I am paying attention, thank you.
I flunked numbers in 3rd grade, so, sorry. At any rate, with that clarification, thank you, Mr. Clerk. I stand corrected. Is there a motion to move this resolution along? Mr. Farnham moves.
Second.
And Dan seconds. Discussions? We don't have a highway engineer here today, so he must be pretty sure that we're going to pass this. Any further discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, the clerk will please call the roll.
Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
Farnham,
Yes.
Lorenzen.
Yes.
It does carry. Next, we have a resolution to appoint Rodney Wood as Drainage Commissioner, Brockton Drainage District, Edgar County, Illinois. Do I have a motion? Mr. Farnham?
Second.
Mr. Lorenzen, seconds. Will you call the roll, please?
Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
Farnham,
Yes.
and Lorenzen.
Yes.
Does carry. Thank you. Resolution to appoint Douglas Crable as Drainage Commissioner for Hughes Drainage District by mutual agreement of the towns of Shiloh, Edgar County, Illinois. Motion?
So moved.
Dan moves, Mr. Farnum seconds. Assume you're ready to vote, Mr. Clerk?
I'm sorry, who was the second, Mr. Farnum?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Lorenzen.
Yes.
Does carry. Resolution to approve the oath and bond of David L. Stanfield, Commissioner, Union Drainage District Number 1 of the towns of Kansas and Ashmore counties of Edgar and Coles County. That'd be Polecat Drain. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Mr. Carl moves,
Second.
Derek seconds. We call the roll.
Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
and Lorenzen.
Yes.
It is approved. Resolution appointing Thomas Patchett as Commissioner of the Union Drainage District Number 1 of the towns of Embarrass and Kansas, Edgar County, Illinois, and approving the oath and bond of Thomas Patchett. Do we have a motion? Mr. Farnum
Second.
and Mr. Patrick, seconds. Sorry, did I?
Yes, I think it was Dan, Mr. Bruner.
It's fine, let him.
Well,
Okay. Patrick second.
okay.
Ready for a roll?
I am ready for a roll if you're ready.
Patrick?
Finished
Yes.
arguing with me.
Bruner,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
and Lorenzen.
Yes.
Okay, the next item we're going to handle in total, and it's a resolution of conveyance. In other words, we're issuing deeds to the following people picking up tax lands that are deficient for taxes. In other words, it's going out, not coming in, okay? So the resolution from Joseph E. Meyer, our tax agent, county tax agent, authorizing the chairman to execute deeds of conveyance for the following parcels. For Troy T. Edgar, Shannon Wheeler, Honeysuckle Valley LLC, Robert Fitzsimmons, Amanda Neal, Terry Campbell, Joel Bush, Josh Pointer, and Josh Pointer, and the accompanying and appropriate numbers of the parcels as described. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution, please?
So moved.
Mr. Lorenzen moves, Mr. Bruner seconds. Are there any further discussions or questions?
May I make a comment?
Absolutely.
In your board packet, there should be a sheet that shows the physical address of those properties, if you've had a chance to see that, so. I've double and triple checked those.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Yep.
Hearing no questions, I assume you're ready to vote on the resolution. Mr. Clerk?
Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
and Lorenzen.
Yes.
Thank you. It does carry and the resolution is passed. Okay, next we have a resolution from the Kiwanis Honeybee Committee to use courthouse lawn from 5 p.m. on Wednesday the 21st until Sunday evening on the 25th, 2016. We did discuss that the other morning. The sheriff is aware of it. Do you have any problems with it, Sheriff?
Nope.
So I would entertain a motion for that request.
So moved.
Mr. Bruner moves.
Second.
Mr. Lorenzen seconds. Discussion about this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Next, we have the appointment of Mary Metcalf to the Edgar County Housing Authority with the term expiring August 1st, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve that appointment, please?
I'll make that motion, but I do have one question.
Right, we'll
Is she
go-
presently on that?
No.
No.
She's a new appointee.
She is also a resident out there,
Mm-hmm.
and Mr. Hollis brought in her name, and
So it seemed appropriate.
Yes.
So, thank you for your motion, Mr. Farnum. Do we have a second? And Mr. Patrick seconds. All those, do we need a roll call on that? No.
you wouldn't have to.
All those in favor of appointing Mary Metcalf to the Housing Authority, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Okay. Next, we have item 16, appoint the following to the Airport Advisory Board with terms expiring would be Spencer Jost and Blake Stiff, both expiring September 1st, 2019. Before we have a motion, did you want to say anything, Mr. Chairman of the airport?
Those were the individuals brought forward by Joe Shiner. Yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve those gentlemen, please?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I assume, well, we'll just vote on it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They do carry. Okay, action on recommendation from the zoning commission. Based on what the zoning commission did the other night, there will be no action required because there is no recommendation at this point being made. However, I did want to say, and you can correct, if you want to say this, I will, but did you want to comment on it, or?
So the way forward is still refining the final report. Prior to that coming up to a vote, the zoning commission has decided to have another public hearing. They will get that document posted to the website as soon as possible, and there will be a way for the public to read it, and if they have any input, can send an email out. We're refining that, but that the instruction will be on the website. So, yeah, so move the table.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion to table?
I'll second.
Carl Farnham seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It is tabled. Okay, now we get to hear from the department heads and elected officials. So, Donald, would you, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Normal report in front of you. Very pleased with our cash flow. Just it's noteworthy to mention that 21 payrolls have hit the current balance there versus the 1, 2, and 3 years prior. That was only 20 it hit at that time. We have 3 payrolls in September this year. So if you're going to compare apples to apples, we would be a little bit better off compared to the previous years than what it's showing right here. Even more better off. So as far as how collections are going, 3 days before the due date last year, we had 3.4 million still to collect. As of close of business yesterday, we had 3.6 million to collect, so we're just a couple $100,000 different from last year. It's picking up. I anticipate by the end of the week we're going to be right where we were last year. We'll be doing a distribution by the end of the month. It'll be the 3rd distribution, and I would encourage fellow department heads to encourage their staff to get things into Augie's office about this new insurance, please. And he's probably going to comment on it too, but I guess if you hear it in stereo, it might prod things on a little bit better. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, Dina?
Nothing new to report. I don't know if anyone's noticed in the newspaper, we've been advertising heavily, and the newspaper's been very gracious to advertise for us about paperwork for exemptions. There are certain exemptions that we require things to be signed as proof they live there, they own it, etc. And I hate to be the mean, ugly tax person, but if people don't sign the forms, we will be removing the exemptions. It's a very small price to pay to come in and fill out a form for the monies they're saving on their tax bills. So just, you can pass that word along if anybody sees the exemption thing. We are requiring forms to be filled out.
Any questions? Dina? Is that it, Dina?
That's it.
Sandy?
I have nothing to report.
Okay. Hi, Nicole. Do you have anything to report this morning?
Just that our EMT class started last week. First one, we have 7 students, so looking forward to it being a good class. And we just received word yesterday that we've been in the application process for 3 years with American Heart Association to become our own training center for classes like CPR classes and AED use, everything else. Right now we go through our training center in Champaign that we're affiliated with, but it was approved yesterday and we got our final notice that we were. So we're the only training center in Edgar County at this point. So the hospital is going to realign with us and fire department and everyone else. So we'll be able to run all of our classes outside or throughout Edgar County now without missing them outside.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions of Nicole? Jill?
Nothing really new. I got our grant submitted and my accreditation submitted, so hopefully that goes through okay, and I'm still working on my budget.
You're what?
Still working on my budget.
We really,
it's coming today, Jeff.
okay. Hi, Janet.
Hey, speaking of budget, no, Dan's aware, we do have a board meeting next Wednesday.
I am aware.
Ours will, I'm sure,
There's
go
a,
through, and I'll get it to you immediately after that. Only other thing is I wanted to let everyone know we're offering flu shots. They're available at the clinic, so feel free to go get your flu shot.
What's the cost of a flu shot?
Not free. The regular flu shot is $25, the high dose is $35.
any questions? Janet? Monty?
Nothing new with probation.
Just came down to see how we were doing, huh?
Checking in.
Okay. Sheriff?
Not much. In fact, we have got our population down, keeping it down lately, and we're taking advantage of this time to do some work and repairs on the jail, starting from the top and working our way down. So
Good.
that's about it.
Any questions of the sheriff? Okay, I guess Augie, you're next.
Yeah, I'd like to turn the stereo button on and remind the department heads to please encourage your employees to turn in their health insurance option form. ASAP. Due Friday. So we need those forms turned in by Friday. Good? Because there's a lot of work that has to go on behind the scenes to get these HSAs set up. And it's going to take a while, and payroll's involved, and we don't need to put any more burden on Pam and Don than what's necessary.
Well, we can Don, but not Pam.
No, that's true. I stand corrected.
Leave sweet Pam alone.
The other thing I'd like to report is September 29th, we officially begin early voting,
Jeez.
believe it or not. So we currently have have a draft ballot in our hands that we are going to proof this afternoon, and we need to get that back to our vendor so we can move on with that. We're getting several requests for vote by mail. That's the new word now, vote by mail instead of absentee. So a lot of vote by mail requests. So things are starting to pick up with the election. We also are getting several questions regarding next April's consolidated election, because school board petitions can be circulated. I believe it's now, and there's caucuses to be held at the end of the year, first of the year, so it's almost like running two at the same time. So we're busy. We also are, well, we have set up a date. I'm looking at Dina and Don to start our transition process, if you will, our planning meeting with computer information concepts as we make the transition over to our new vendor for tax software. A lot going on, but we're going to make it. Any questions for me?
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. we'll move on to committee reports. Dan?
Not much going on. I made my usual monthly rounds, animal shelter, no problems there. We did have an ESDA meeting last week, work out some minor issues that was taken care of. And I did call Janet the other day about an issue that she has nothing, not her problem, but it was basically worked out. And she told me they had a flood in the health department, but that was, I guess, taken care of also. So, other than that, no problem.
Thank you, Dan. Yes, sir. Andy?
A couple things. We'd had a leak from one of the air handling units above the state's attorney's office. And the fact of the matter is a lot of these air handler units, we had one prior to that above the probation office. They're old, they're starting to get some age on them and rust out. So I'm looking right now at possibly putting some, they're called condensate pans under some of the remaining ones. As they're putting the newer units in, they're putting pans under them. What it is it's a secondary pan that actually, if it does overflow, then this pan will actually catch the water before it comes dripping through the ceiling. They also put it's a shut-off, so if the secondary pan gets full and water connects in two places, it will actually shut the unit down to where you can get up and fix it. So we're looking into that. Some of the older units that are still up there, I'm looking into putting some condensate pans under them, and possibly they call them a condensate pump. What causes a lot of the thing to back up and the water to run in is these drains. It's a slow running drain. I mean, it's just water condensate that air conditioning pulls out of the air and it drips through this drain. Well, these drains get plugged up. There's mold and stuff that accumulates in them and they get plugged up. So they actually make something called a pump that you just put it's kind of like a small sump pump in a basement. It drains into that and then pumps it in to you can actually pump it into a drain, an existing drain, and you can do away with some of these drains that drain out and get plugged up. So I'm looking into that, and I'll hopefully have something to report on that. Bob called me last week, the end of last week, and said that on the bell tower, some of the flashing was, there's a place where it kind of come loose. I've got a call into the company that actually did the bell tower restoration to see how best to repair. If you look at the north side, you can see some of the, it's a metal stone looking material that they, it's a fascia that they have applied on the outside of the bell tower, and it's come up loose in one corner, and some of the screws are actually coming loose. They were nails, but they come loose. So I got some screws yesterday. I have some that will actually match the color, and we're gonna see if we can't pull it. I mean, you can actually go up and pull some of the nails out with your fingers along the bottom there. It's just weather, wind just causes it. Once it gets a little bit of play in it, then it's not long before it'll vibrate and come out. So I got some screws. I'm gonna try to put those in. Hopefully those will hold better than what the old nails did. So it's there's always something. That's about it for right now.
Thank you. Carl?
I'm hesitant to say this, but I'm going to go ahead anyway. The other day in the Beacon, I think it was, there was an article about Edgar Equity, about their employees, number of employees. And I remember back in July or August, whenever they had their big hoopla up there, you know, they made the comment that everything was going to be business as usual. Well, that hasn't necessarily been the case. Within 2 weeks after that, they let go 5 employees. These employees were 20, 25-year-old, been working for Inland Grain and Conshohocken. Called them up by cell phone and said, we no longer need your services. And I was talking to a local businessman that has done maintenance work for England and Conshohocken for years. And they told him they no longer needed him to help them. And as a result of that, he's laid an employee off. So I guess my concern was, whether how good of new business or whatever you want to call them they have been for the county. Another thing, they've closed the Vermillion elevator. And I talked to one of the directors up there at that meeting about that. At the time, I didn't know they were planning on closing, but I explained to him how important it was for the people in the Vermillion area, because there are a lot of small farmers. They don't have semis that can truck wherever, how important it was. And after explaining that, he said, I'm glad you told me that, because I didn't realize that. And then within a month, they made the decision to close that. So now a lot of the local people down there, some people have, all they have is a tractor and a wagon. Where are they going to go? The closest elevator is 20 miles. What are they going to do? Some of them just have straight trucks. So it's put a lot of people in a bind, and I just wanted to throw that out. I know you're having a hearing, another hearing tomorrow on that.
4 o'clock.
That's some of the things they've done to this community since they've come in here.
Are they asking for a tax abatement? Is that one thing?
Yes.
Conshohocken, they came in from Ohio, 2 or 3 years ago, and they were, look, they expanded it up there at the Horace elevator. They made some improvements down there at Vermillion. So, and then Effingham comes in, and
They bring their own people up, is that what is happening?
some of them, just wanted to throw that out. That's all I had.
Yes. Derek?
We talked about the zoning, other things going on out at the airport. New lawnmower is either out there and up and taken care of or in the works. The old one was basically a best guess as to where it would go when you tried to steer it. So that made mowing a challenge, but more fun. We have cleaned the Jet A tank. Very professional organization came in, took care of that for us. That was long overdue. We have also primed that Jet A tank so it looks a little nicer. Additionally, we have painted our light tower out there. Other projects in the works early October timeframe for a repaving of the parking lot and the access road to the airport. That's all I got.
Okay. Questions amongst yourselves? Okay. Budget-wise, we're at 83.3% of the year. We're on course. Revenues look solid at this point. Of course, you never know with the state, and expenses are in line. So you have a copy of that I gave you on Monday morning, so you have that to look at and refer to if you have any questions. As far as the budget process for the year, Don is in the process of putting that all together. I think he's gotten most of the budgets. I didn't know we were still had 1 or 2 out, but I did know about. We don't need the health department budget to proceed with the fund of 100, but we do need any budgets that are out there, like you said, right away. So we're in that process. I'll get that out to you board members so that you can start reviewing that. If we need to set up, for example, if the sheriff's committee needs to set up meetings, then they can do that, or whatever we need to. Additionally, the levy draft is in Terry's hands, and we have some more work to do on that, but at least we have the document that we can all look at and up to snuff. Remember that we have to have everything approved by the end of October, and that we have 2 meetings in November. One is to present the budget and approve its presentation. Then we need to lay it over for, was it 15 days or 10 days? 15. And then we have approval of the final budget levy documents the week after Thanksgiving. So that's kind of the schedule that we're on. So hopefully we'll be able to get that to you as soon as Don has it ready. He's got a lot of things going on. Don't forget taxes. The final tax payments are due on the 16th, which is this Friday, if you don't want your name appearing in the paper and all the other things that go along with that. I appreciate your comments on the issue for the enterprise zone, Carl, and if anybody has any comments, I've received quite a few comments sitting on that board that will be recommending what's happening. I appreciate any comments that anybody might have on that. And I probably received more comment on that than I have a lot of other issues that you would have thought. So at any rate, that's all I have right now. Is there any need for a closed session today, folks? I didn't think so. I tell you what, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Mr. Lorenzen moves, Mr. Patrick seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you.